name is Kevin. I am a builder by profession. One day I was working on a high-rise building. We were handing over the building. My task was to check the facade of the building. I was on a suspended lift and gradually descended down, checking the facade. Suddenly the cable lowering the cradle broke, and the cradle flew down with me. By my luck, I was somewhere on the 3rd floor. Flying all 3 floors, I fell to the ground. What happened next, I do not remember. According to relatives, I fell into a coma and came to my senses only after 2 weeks. When I came to my senses, I was in hospital for a long time. When I fell, I hit my head hard. The doctor said that after such an injury it was impossible to survive, so I was just lucky. It was evening, and I was still in the hospital when a nurse approached me with some medicine. As she stood in front of me, I noticed a shadow flickering behind her. At first I didn't think much of it, but as soon as the nurse left, I saw a black figure lurking in the far corner of the room. Gaining courage, I got out of bed and took a closer look. To my horror, the figure stepped out of the shadows and appeared before me in a hideous and horrifying manner. My hair stood on end, and I couldn't move in fear. The figure moved across the room, completely oblivious to my presence, and then passed through the wall and disappeared. I sat on the bed for a long time, trying to comprehend what had happened. I didn't know yet that this was just the beginning. After I recovered and was discharged from the hospital, I returned home. One evening, as I sat watching the television, my wife Clara had already fallen asleep. When I switched off the TV and entered the bedroom, I was greeted by the horrifying sight I had witnessed in the hospital. In a trembling voice, I called out to Clara to wake her up. I asked if she had seen anyone on the bed, but she assured me that no one was there. Concerned, she asked if I was okay. I remained silent, working up the courage to approach the bed, but as before, the figure vanished into thin air. Eventually, I confided in Clara and told her everything I had seen. Worried about my well-being, she advised me to seek medical help. The next day, Clara and I visited the hospital again. The doctor examined me and attributed my anxiety to the trauma, assuring me that it would pass with time. The doctor prescribed sedatives to help me cope with my anxiety. On our way home, we passed a rubbish bin, and to my amazement, I noticed the same figure digging through the rubbish. No one seemed to notice it but me. Not knowing who to consult, I decided to look for information on the internet. It was then that I came across an article about parallel worlds, which describes certain beings who live with us and whom we are not allowed to see. Driven by a newfound determination, I plunged into the search for truth. Days turned into nights as I tirelessly studied ancient writings, paranormal phenomena, and accounts of encounters with being. The more I learned, the more convinced I became that my near-death experience had given me a gift, allowing me a glimpse into this parallel world. Armed with this knowledge, I turned to experts in the supernatural. I consulted with paranormal investigators, spiritual healers, and well-known psychics, hoping they could shed some light on my experience. Some dismissed my claims as mere imagination, while others recognized the possibility of a connection between my accident and the gift I had discovered. In the meantime, my encounters with these creatures became more and more frequent and intense. I began to see them everywhere, especially near rubbish bins, in nightclubs, in all kinds of dirty places. I noticed that they could penetrate into a person's body, live in it unnoticed, manipulating his thoughts and actions. The person seemed to change, but did not notice the external influence. One evening, as I sat alone reading a book, I noticed a creature enter my room. Overcoming my fear, I tried to communicate with it. To my surprise, it responded. Goosebumps covered my body as I communicated with this terrifying creature. It told me that they lived like humans, they had families, but their mission in life was different. manipulating and controlling unsuspecting humans. They thrive on negative energy and chaos. Over time, I learned that these evil entities feed on our passions, desires, fears, and aggression. The more one succumbed to their vices, the more they controlled him. To protect yourself from their influence, you need to be restrained to control your emotions. By giving in to lustful desires or any other indulgence, one can become a slave to these beings. As the veil between our world and the parallel realm became more and more tenuous, I found myself caught in a nightmarish web of terror and despair. The line between reality and parallel worlds blurred, and I realized with horror that we were mere pawns in a cosmic game manipulated by forces beyond our comprehension.